YouTube, what's going on? It's Sandz. Got part 2 of the hardcore guide for you guys. So if you guys missed part 1, go ahead and click here on this little icon. It should help you out. So first off, let's take a look at the class real quick. Got Ghost, of course, Cold-Blooded, and Dead Silence. Those are the main perks. And I'm using Quick Draw Handle instead of a suppressor on this. Now, I don't exactly recall why I wasn't using a suppressor. I would assume it's because I was prestiging my weapon and I didn't have the suppressor unlocked at this point, because I always, like I say before, I always run a suppressor. The big thing about what I try to do with my gameplay in hardcore is I try to remain invisible. So now if you're playing on this map, you pretty much can count on someone rolling around this barrel. This guy right here obviously just got smoke checked and should have waited. So it's one of those things where you kind of got to balance aggression and patience. Now what you're going to notice right here, I'm not one that really camps here, so if you guys are wondering like what's going on, my wife actually needed help. She just like messed up her thumb recently, and it's in a cast, so I had to open some stuff up. And then you notice that like my rifle is pulled off to the left. It's actually because my controller's fucked up. So until I get a new controller, it kind of wants to pull to the left for whatever reason. Alright, you guys, so in hardcore I'm always emphasizing sound and using sound to help you out. So while I was doing all this stuff with my wife, like I heard somebody, and I was actually able to pop up and then get the kill, as you can see right here. I'm kind of surveying the area, making sure. So I want you guys to listen carefully. So did you guys hear it? Maybe not. Well, here's one more time. Alright, you guys, so maybe you heard it, maybe you didn't, but what you were hearing was that guy's footsteps. And it's one of those things, that's why I rock Dead Silence. Now, there's a link right here to one of the videos where I kind of show, it's a quick tip video basically showing you guys how to change your audio settings so that you can make sure that you're able to kind of get the jump on people. And that's, I'm really, I guess, trying to illustrate the point of why I always rock Dead Silence. I mean, it's something as minimal as that. I was able to hear the guy's boots. I mean, I wasn't playing at the time. I had my headset on, but my wife was asking me, to like open a can of something or a package or something. But I was actually able to hear him. So, it's one of those things. So right there again, I heard the glass break and I turned. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get the kill, but that just stresses for me one of those things. Make sure that you guys are actually cognizant of your environment. Make sure that you're keeping your ears open, because in hardcore, listening and using sound is one of the biggest ways that you can really kind of have an advantage over other people. I mean, part of it obviously is quickness and accuracy regarding pulling out or shooting your weapon, but for the most part, there's certain little tidbits and certain little pieces that I think a lot of people kind of disregard. So I would recommend, again, not blasting your music while you're playing in hardcore game mode and listening. So like right there, the reason why I waited, and I don't know if you guys could hear the audio or not, I heard the RCXD. So of course I don't want the RCXD to see me, so I waited it out. Now you got to kind of pick and choose your battles, where and when you're going to pop out. So right here, I'm trying to figure out the best time to reload, and I knew that the RCXD guy was somewhere around me, but I wasn't exactly quite sure where. So I was kind of waiting for a second, and then I ended up reloading, and then the guy just magically shows up. So I ended up getting the kill, luckily. But that's another point, and I kind of brought it out or showed you guys the idea during the first video, and that is when you're reloading, make sure that you wait. Like when you're playing hardcore, you don't need to reload instantly, because generally speaking, a short burst is going to kill people. So you don't need to reload after every single time, and that kind of wastes time as well. If you're going through the whole reload motion, you're going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage as well. So a couple of keys. First off, obviously your reload time. Make sure that you're waiting, and make sure that you're using your actual full magazine capacity to kill an enemy before you reload. The main one again is sound. Make sure that you're rocking Dead Silence. I really don't play with awareness too much, but the couple of times that I have, it's definitely distinct, so you can distinguish an enemy's footsteps versus a teammate's footsteps. So again, kind of one of those things. Maybe it would be good for you, maybe not. So you guys saw that I just got the stealth chopper there, and now the stealth chopper, or your Scorestreaks, I should say, I guess, in hardcore, are one of those key ingredients to a winning formula. So of course you don't have a UAV up. So if you want to rock UAV, a lot of people don't rock Ghost. So it's one of those things that you could take advantage of. UAVs are outstanding. Counter UAV, I would never use that in hardcore. I know some people that do, and it can be kind of a pain in the ass, like if you're running a UAV, you know what I mean? You're running a UAV and then suddenly someone throws up a counter UAV every single time. It's one of those strategy things. I don't feel like people get UAVs enough in hardcore to really justify running a counter UAV. I think that other elements such as like a Guardian, for example, are outstanding because they just they're not only do they suppress, but in hardcore they just almost instantly kill. Stealth choppers I found to be pretty helpful, pretty beneficial. You can see in this round I actually did really well running this setup with the stealth chopper. A lot of people don't run blind eye while they're playing hardcore. They tend to just run ghost, so that stealth chopper is definitely a great score streak to use. And of course, you know, the one thing that you got to be careful of is if you're not really playing for the, now check this out. See that I totally missed knife, but that guy heard me when he turned around. So again, that's one of those things, you know, like I was saying about the whole sound thing, right? Right. So getting back on track. So if you're not one that really wants to play and try to get, you know, orbital VSATs or dogs or swarms or anything like that, you know, running some of the lower support score streaks I think would be beneficial. And in fact, I would really recommend running, you know, a UAV, Guardian, and then a sentry gun. That would be my base class. I think that those are just absolutely, you know, in hardcore, unbelievable. If you're one that wants to kind of camp it out, you know, you can throw a sentry gun on one side and then a Guardian on the other. The Guardian itself is so powerful in hardcore that it basically just has to, you know, kind of suppress someone once or twice, and then that's it. So now if you're one of those people that tends to run the higher score streaks, obviously getting them in hardcore is a little bit more difficult, but you know, it definitely is possible. So, you know, in that first in the first installment of this series, I ended up getting, you know, a double swarm. So it's definitely possible. And you know, pretty much what I recommend running is the same thing that I would run in core gameplay. So if I was to be playing, you know, like ground war, or you know, standard team deathmatch or kill confirmed or whatever, pretty much is all the same. So what I would run is orbital VSAT, EMP, and then from there either dogs or swarm. Now one variation to that I've kind of been using more recently is actually stealth chopper and then orbital VSAT, and then from there either dogs or swarms. So go ahead and kind of, you know, pick your poison and choose what you want to do. But just remember that, you know, getting some of the higher score streaks can be a little bit more difficult in hardcore, which is why I play a lot more kill confirmed, just because, you know, each kill, you know, you get 50, then you pick up a tag, it's 100, and then it makes things a lot easier. So keep that in the back of your mind as you set up your score streaks. If you're going to be playing something like team deathmatch, obviously getting a swarm or dogs is going to be a lot more difficult than, say, getting, you know, UAVs, counter UAVs, Guardians, sentry guns, etc. Kill confirmed, obviously, rack up points a lot easier, so you know, typically that's going to help you out a little bit. So another thing that I wanted to touch base on during this part 2 is what I call map flow. So what I mean by map flow is, you know, obviously right there where I just spawned, I know that the majority of people are going to be behind me. Now the spawns really don't flip that often in hardcore. I mean, you know, it happens, but for the most part, once spawns have flipped, maybe once in the game or twice in the game, and that's it. You know, you're not going to really see too much change in that. So you want to keep that in your mind because it's going to affect your gameplay. So for me, I kept on spawning back there in that in the opposite spawn, I guess, you know, really of what I started from. But that's the only time. So the spawns have really only flipped once, which means that I don't really need to be too careful and watch my back as I'm approaching this area where I am right now. So I'm hoping that kind of makes sense. You know, as we know, the spawns in this release are a little bit crazy, right? Like literally, people will spawn. It seems like they're literally spawning out of your ass because you just run somewhere and then someone shoots you from behind. So you know, it's not it's not one of those great things. But in hardcore, I feel like the spawns are a little bit more controlled. Right there, I really should have put the lightning strike more towards that back open area and hope to get people while they were spawning. But map flow is just one of those things that you want to keep in the back of your mind because it's going to make a difference. All right, you guys. So the last piece that I really want to touch on is controller speed. So your sensitivity settings. Now I know that I think I've mentioned it in one of my other videos. And in this iteration of Black Ops 2, your controller speed can actually go all the way up to, I want to say 14. I don't know why it's not 15. I guess it's kind of weird. But it goes all the way up to 14. Hold up. This is kind of funny right here. Dude throws a bouncing Betty, and then I set it off, and then he blows himself up. Oh my god, that makes me laugh every time. Anyways, yeah, so controller speed. It's one of those things where, especially in hardcore, that you want to have that speed element. And if you're, playing on, 10 or 12, it definitely allows you to spin around more quickly. I was playing on 14 for a while there, and it was just getting a little bit out of control. So I dropped it down, and I think right now I'm playing on like 12, I want to say, and that's been really the perfect mix for me. So I'm hoping that these tips and tricks kind of help you guys and will improve your gameplay. And just a quick synopsis. Make sure that you're paying attention to sound and noise. Make sure that you are playing aggressively, but you're remaining patient at times. Again, map flow is a big piece of this. And then that final thing is, watch your controller speed and see if that helps you out. And now a good thing to do with controller speed is to set up combat training to kind of get the feel for it, or else play with bots, and that should help you guys out. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for part 3, which is going to conclude the series.
We have succeeded in our mission.